Good evening and welcome to the news tonight. Here are the headlines of this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says Khalistani forces threatening sovereignty of India will not be tolerated, underscores that Canada needs to rein in separatists to ensure best relations between the two countries, holds summit meeting with visiting Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Pakistan set to suffer a huge blow as Financial Action Task Force prepares to put Islamabad back on its watch list for financing terror groups. FATF move likely to endanger its financial dealings with the rest of the world. Delhi court rejects bail petitions of Aam Aadmi Party MLAs Amanatullah Khan and Prakash Jarwal. Police seize evidence of Monday's assault on the Chief Secretary. Delhi government complains against searches at the Chief Minister's residence. An election commission announces polls on the 23rd of March for 58 Rajya Sabha seats from 16 states. Last date for filing nominations will be 12th March. 10 members of the upper house to be elected from Uttar Pradesh. Our top story this evening, Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave a clear message to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that India will not tolerate forces advocating disintegration of the country and challenging its sovereignty. In the context of Khalistan supporters taking shelter in Canada, Prime Minister Modi said that there is immense scope of cooperation between the two countries, but there is need to find common cause against forces of separatism.
At a summit-level meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister Narendra Modi raised the issue of Khalistani supporters living in Canada who are advocating for a separate state. He said forces threatening the sovereignty and integrity of India cannot be tolerated. Underscoring the diversity in India and Canada, the Prime Minister said there are many areas of cooperation, but Canada needs to rein in separatists to ensure best relations.
आतंकवाद और उग्रवाद भारत और कनाडा जैसे लोकतांत्रिक बहुलवादी समाजों के लिए खतरा है। इन ताकतों का मुकाबला करने के लिए हमारा साथ आना महत्वपूर्ण है। संप्रदाय का राजनीतिक उद्देश्य के लिए दुरुपयोग करने वालों और बंटवारे की खाई खोदने वालों के लिए कोई जगह नहीं होनी चाहिए। हमारे देशों की संप्रभुता, एकता और अखंडता को चुनौती देने वालों को भी बर्दाश्त नहीं किया जा सकता।
The Canadian Prime Minister also accepted that while people-to-people relations between the two nations are among the best in the world, cooperation between India and Canada is yet to realize its full potential.
As Canada looks to diversify its own economy and looks for new opportunities to do business beyond its borders, India is a natural partner and a trusted friend for commercial cooperation. To this effect, Prime Minister Modi and I welcomed the conclusion of and progress on cooperation agreements in areas such as civil nuclear science and technology, information technology, automotive sector cooperation, intellectual property, smart cities, and customs enforcement.
Both nations signed 6 agreements after the conclusion of summit meeting. The agreements for cooperation are in the fields of technology, electronics, patents, energy, including atomic energy, higher education and sports. Trudeau is on an 8-day visit to India. He has travelled to cities like Agra, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Amritsar and Delhi before meeting Modi on Friday. He was accorded a ceremonial reception at the Rashtrapati Bhavan where he met President Ramnath Kovind.
Both Prime Ministers discussed the issue of terrorism at length, and they decided to work further on it to create convergence of ideas and work plan. NSAs of both the countries will be working on it in future. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person Prasads in Delhi.
And in a move that could seriously hurt Pakistan's economy, the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, has put Islamabad back on its terrorist financing watch list. In a decision taken in a meeting of FATF in Paris late on Thursday night, Pakistan has been put on the grey list for not acting against terror groups by the global money laundering watchdog. Backed by Britain, France and India, The resolution moved by the US was passed by 36 votes in favor and only 1 against. Turkey was the only nation that voted in favor of Pakistan, while even its ally China withdrew its objections. The measure is part of a broader US strategy to put pressure on Islamabad to cut its links to terror groups in Afghanistan. Being placed on the FATF watch list brings extra scrutiny from regulators and financial institutions. It could endanger its banking links to the outside world, causing real financial pain to the economy just as a general election looms in a few months from now. Pakistan was on the watch list between 2012 to 2015 as well, but for money laundering. Other countries in the list include North Korea, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Yemen and Ethiopia. On to national news, and a Delhi court on Friday dismissed the bail plea of 2 Aam Aadmi Party MLAs who were arrested for allegedly assaulting Chief Secretary Anshu Prakash. Meanwhile, for the first time, Delhi police conducted a review at Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's residence following the alleged assault incident. A delegation of IS Association also met Union Minister Jitendra Singh to convey their grievances.
A Delhi court on Friday rejected the bail pleas of the 2 AAP MLAs, Amantullah Khan and Prakash Jarwal. Both were arrested for allegedly assaulting Delhi Chief Secretary Anshu Prakash on Monday. It, however, refused to send them to police custody. Both MLAs are in 14-day judicial custody. The Delhi police on Friday conducted searches at Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's residence. They seized hard drives of 21 CCTV cameras that reportedly contain the recording of the assault.
बाहर 21 कैमरे लगे हुए हैं, जिसमें ड्राइंग रूम के बाहर भी कवरेज है और कॉरिडोर में भी कवरेज है, और उन कैमरों की हेल्प से हम ये पता लगाने की कोशिश करेंगे कि इंसिडेंट के पहले और उसके बाद लोगों की मूवमेंट कैसे रही.
Soon after the police action, a team of ministers led by Deputy CM Manish Sisodia met Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal at his residence.
एलजी साहब ने कहा है कि वो इंश्योर करेंगे कि ऑफिसर्स मीटिंग में रहें, मिनिस्टर्स के साथ मिलकर काम करें और जो भी जरूरी चीजें हैं दिल्ली के लिए उनमें कहीं कोई कोताही ना बरती जाए.
The Aam Aadmi Party termed the searches police raj and said they were not informed about the searches.
उनके यहाँ पुलिस बल भेजकर और दादागिरी दिखाने की जो एक कोशिश की गई है, इस कार्रवाई के खिलाफ कल पूरे देश के जिला मुख्यालय पर और राज्य मुख्यालय पर आम आदमी पार्टी का जबरदस्त विरोध और प्रदर्शन होगा.
The BJP in turn called the series of events a constitutional crisis in Delhi.
Calling people to your own residence, not just anyone, but your own chief secretary, and then assaulting him physically, is it not dadagiri and gundai, or do you feel this is good behavior?
Earlier, a delegation of IAS officers working under the Delhi government also met Union Minister Jitendra Singh. Alleging harassment of government employees, the bureaucrats sought an apology from the chief ministers. They also boycotted meetings with his ministers.
We took cognizance of all the inputs offered by them, and we told them that we would put across all these inputs which have been furnished by them before the concerned quarters.
On Monday night, the Delhi Chief Secretary alleged he was beaten up by AAP MLAs in the presence of Kejriwal at his residence. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
The Election Commission on Friday announced polls to 58 Rajya Sabha seats that will fall vacant this April. Polling for the 58 seats will be held on the 23rd of March. The term of office of 58 members of the upper house, elected from 16 states, is due to expire upon their retirement in April-May 2018. The Election Commission will also hold by-elections to the Council of States from Kerala, as its MP Virendra Kumar resigned from Rajya Sabha in December. His term was due to expire only in April 2022. Uttar Pradesh has the highest number of retiring members at 10, followed by Maharashtra and Bihar at 6. The poll panel said that 12th of March will be the last day to file nominations. The votes will be counted on the day of the polls. In more national news, expanding its probe into the alleged Punjab National Bank fraud, the Enforcement Directorate on Friday summoned Nirav Modi's wife, Ami, for questioning. Earlier in the day, the agency froze bank deposits and shares worth about 44 crore rupees of the Nirav Modi group. It also seized a huge collection of imported watches from locations linked to the jeweler. ED officials said that they have put freeze orders on bank accounts containing 30 crore rupees and shares worth 13.86 crore rupees of the group under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Besides summoning Modi's wife, the ED has called his uncle and Gitanjali Gems promoter Mehul Choksi for questioning in the case on the 26th of February. Modi, who failed to keep his date for questioning on Thursday, has also been issued summons to appear before the agency on the same day. Meanwhile, a Delhi court on Friday allowed one-day transit remand to the CBI to take Rotomac owner Vikram Kothari and his son Rahul to Lucknow to produce them before a court in connection with a 3,695 crore rupee loan default case. The court said that their presence in Uttar Pradesh was required to recover the alleged siphoned-off money. Both the accused were arrested on Thursday for alleged default on loan repayment. The Income Tax Department also attached 12 more bank accounts of the Rotomac Group and filed 6 prosecution complaints for tax evasion on Friday. Indian stock markets rose sharply on Friday, taking cues from global markets. The S&P BSE index, Sensex, in fact ended, the BSE Sensex, in fact, ended at 34,142, up 323 points, while the broader Nifty 50 index settled at 10,491, up 108 points. Analysts said that Friday's gains in the domestic markets were also led by banking, pharma and metal stocks. In addition, the rupee ended higher at 64.73 against the US dollar. With a quick break here, we'll be back with more national and international news in a bit. Stay with us.
We will analyze the implications of commercializing coal.
I think Coal India has virtually reached its limits. There are other players who are waiting. We gave them an option for the captive mining.
Coal might have a 10, 15 year, 20-year window of utility, beyond which it might be actually be replaced by renewable or nuclear kind of power.
We will analyze the changing nature of jobs.
How do we modernize all this so that we become high value added providers to the global economy?
You shouldn't be training your youngsters to pick up particular skills. You should be training them to be proper human beings. Humans have the enormous capacity to learn.
The prolific British poet and story writer Joseph Rudyard Kipling, one of the first masters of short stories in English. In 1894 appeared his Jungle Book, which became a children's classic all over the world. Kim, the story of Kimball O'Hara and his adventures in the Himalayas, is perhaps his most felicitous work published. Set in and concerned with India he had come to know and love so well. In 1907, Kipling became the first English-language writer to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature.
साइंस कम्युनिकेशन यानी विज्ञान का संचार एक ऐसा माध्यम है जिसके द्वारा हम विज्ञान की बातों को समाज तक आसानी से पहुंचाते हैं।
Have to make films on science and technology, on environment. It's very important part of a society.
तो अगर फिल्म है, शॉर्ट फिल्म्स है, वो डेफिनेटली हमें ज्ञान देगा और हमारे जो एक थॉट प्रोसेस को हमेशा अलग रखेगा और हमेशा उससे सीखने की प्रेरणा मिलेगी।
Sen, an outstanding and extraordinary saltwater swimmer of India.
He is the first Asian to swim the English Channel way back in 1958. And just 8 years later, in 1966, he swam the 7 seas of the 5 continents in 1 calendar year, which etched his name in the Guinness Book of World Records. In 1959, he was also conferred the Padma Shri, and in 1967, he was awarded the Padma Bhushan.
Welcome back to the news tonight. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday addressed the 4th Global Business Summit in Delhi. Addressing the summit, the Prime Minister said that today India is performing well in terms of all macroeconomic parameters, whether it is inflation, current account deficit, fiscal deficit, GDP growth. He added that this government's fight against the black money will continue as well. He further said that working with speed, scale and sensitivity is a guarantee of success. The 2-day Global Business Summit will showcase a star-studded roster with cabinet ministers along with global CEOs and their Indian counterparts, reflecting the country's preeminence as a key investment destination. The theme for the year is New Economy, New Rules.
भारत का विकास पूरे विश्व के विकास में महत्वपूर्ण योगदान दे रहा है। पिछले 3-4 वर्षों में भारत ने अपने साथ ही पूरी दुनिया की इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ को मजबूती दी है। वर्ल्ड जीडीपी में अगर हम नॉमिनल टर्म में डेटा को देखें तो बड़े रोचक तथ्य सामने आ रहे हैं। इंटरनेशनल मॉनेटरी फंड IMF के आंकड़ों के अनुसार 2013 के अंत में भारत का वर्ल्ड जीडीपी में नॉमिनल टर्म में कंट्रीब्यूशन 2.4% था। हमारी सरकार के लगभग 4 वर्षों में ये बढ़कर 3.1% हो गया है।
In other national news, the Jharkhand High Court today rejected the bail petition of RJD chief and former Bihar Chief Minister Lalu Prasads in a fodder scam case pertaining to the fraudulent withdrawal of 89.27 lakhs from the Deoghar treasury. The High Court rejected the bail petition, saying that he was the Chief Minister and Finance Minister during the scam period. Dismissing Lalu's defense, the judge said that all scam cases seem to be in his knowledge. Hence, the court is not inclined to release him on bail, the bench observed. A special CBI court had convicted Lalu Prasads in the fodder case on the 23rd of December last year and was sentenced to 3 years and 6 months in prison. He has been languishing in Ranchi's Birsa Munda jail since December 23rd. He is so far being convicted in 3 cases. Turning our focus to the elections in the northeast states, and during campaigning in all the 3 northeastern states, there has been much talk about the India-Myanmar-Thailand Trilateral highway. The Prime Minister made a reference to it most recently during a rally in Nagaland. He called it the Prosperity Highway for the region. This Southeast Asian highway is due to be completed by 2020 and will pass through Nagaland and Manipur before entering Myanmar and then Thailand. Panchanan Mishra reports.
नागालैंड में 1000 किलोमीटर के नेशनल हाईवे थे। 4 साल से भी कम समय में हमने नागालैंड में 500 किलोमीटर नेशनल हाईवे की वृद्धि कर दी। 1000 से हमने 1500 पहुंचा दिया। इस समय नागालैंड में लगभग 6000 करोड़ रुपयों का प्रोजेक्ट पर काम चल रहा है।
A highway that is set to transform the Northeast region. A key project under the government's Act East policy, the India-Myanmar-Thailand Trilateral Highway is expected to open a gateway to Southeast Asia, passing from Dimapur to Kohima in Nagaland to Moreh in Manipur, entering Myanmar and head on to Mae Sot in Thailand.
we're happy now, at least things are taking shape. And you can see that the 4-lane highway is coming up very fast. This will be the gateway to the rest of the Southeast Asian countries.
The proposal to build an IMT highway was first made at a trilateral ministerial meeting on transport linkages in Yangon in April 2002. The 1,980-kilometer-long highway is expected to boost trade and commerce in the ASEAN-India Free Trade Area as well as with the rest of the Southeast Asia.
Once it is implemented, then this will definitely help the economy of the country, especially the Asian countries. That is where we are now focusing in regard to this Act East policy.
India has also proposed extending the highway to Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam. The proposed 3,200-kilometer route will be known as East-West Economic Corridor. It will annually generate an estimated $70 billion in incremental GDP and 20 million in incremental aggregate employment by 2025. India has also offered $1 billion line of credit for the India-ASEAN connectivity projects.
Northeastern states are lagging behind in area of employment, industries and trade. But the Act East policy has incorporated all these areas. And the Southeast Asian Highway, which will go through, including Nagaland and various states of Northeast area, to the Myanmar and Thailand, will boost the economy of entire region. In Kohima, with Raj Thakur, this is Panchanan Mishra for Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, days after Prime Minister Narendra Modi held the Pariksha Par Charcha with school students, Human Resource Development Minister Prasads made a major announcement on Rajya Sabha TV's special program, The Pulse. The minister said that the current syllabus of NCERT will be halved so as to give school children enough time for other activities. This new syllabus will be implemented from 2019-2020. Speaking on RSTV's program, The Pulse, Javadekar also said that the no detention policy will be done away with and Class 5 and Class 8 children will have to undergo a kind of mini board exams.
I'm asking teachers who are teaching what portion should be mandatory and what portion should not be there. What can we want to halve the portion. Then only we will get opportunity to introduce physical education, value education, life skill education and experiential learning. So all these things can come only therefore. That will create a good human being out of the system and students will be more interested. Yes, because of the half syllabus, they can actually do from next year, means we are starting now, but not next academic, 18-19, from 19-20.
You can watch that entire interview on the special episode of Rajya Sabha TV's flagship program, The Pulse, on Sunday, 8 p.m. Moving ahead, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said that films should become instruments of change and promote social cohesion. He also said that films must promote communal harmony, national integration and patriotism without diminishing their popular appeal. Releasing a commemorative stamp and a book on eminent film producer B. Nagi Reddy in Chennai, Naidu said that Reddy was an eminent publisher, successful film producer, philanthropist and a great humanist. He urged filmmakers to raise their voice against social evils like corruption, casteism, alcoholism, crimes against women and dangers of religious or ideological extremism. He also asked filmmakers to question themselves whether the films are holding up a mirror to society. The Vice President said that violence and obscenity should not be promoted in the name of entertainment.
Today, the present times of growing violence, intolerance and crime, filmmakers have a huge responsibility to make message-oriented films. Message-oriented films. No doubt, films has to be entertaining as well, but violence and obscenity, vulgarity cannot be promoted disproportionately in the name of entertainment, especially when films have a major impact on the masses. Cinema also is to give social message against dowry, against ill treatment to women, against atrocities against children, against doing wrong things.
And now let's get you some international news updates in Global Buzz. Australia's scandal-hit deputy leader Barnaby Joyce announced on Friday that he was quitting and moving to the backbench amid claims of sexual harassment and controversy over an affair with a now pregnant former aide. Joyce, whose National Party rules alongside Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull's Liberals, has said that he would officially step down on Monday. Joyce had previously resisted calls to quit amid intense scrutiny over his ministerial conduct. The White House on Friday said that US President Donald Trump is not satisfied with the progress made by Pakistan in its fight against terrorism and for the first time is holding Islamabad accountable for its actions. The remarks by White House Deputy Press Secretary Rajya came amid the ongoing meeting of Financial Action Task Force in Paris, where US was leading efforts to place Pakistan on an international terror financing watch list and Islamabad is now on the grey list. 13 people were still missing on Friday following a deadly landslide in Indonesia. The landslide struck a village in central Java, killing 7 people and injuring 1 person. An ongoing search and rescue mission was hampered by the wide area of the avalanche as well as the depths of the eroded soil. And that's it on the news tonight from the entire team here. Good night.